People are avoiding you for reasons they'll never tell you to your face. There's this guy at work who can't figure out why he's always eating lunch alone. He's friendly enough. He tries to join conversations. He laughs at jokes. He offers to help people. But somehow, when plans get made, his name doesn't come up. When people grab coffee, they don't ask if he wants to come. He's not excluded in any obvious way. Nobody's mean to him. But he's not included either. He exists in this strange invisible zone where people are polite but distant. And he tells himself it's them. Cliquey, they're superficial. But deep down he wonders if it's something about him that he can't see. The truth is harder than that. Because the things that make people avoid you aren't usually the thing think they are. They're not about being unlikable or annoying in obvious ways. They're subtler. And nobody's going to tell you what they are because that conversation is too uncomfortable. So you just keep doing the thing, wondering why connection feels so hard. First thing, you make everything about yourself, not in a bragging way necessarily, in a redirecting way. Someone tells you about their weekend, and within 30 seconds you're talking about your weekend. Someone mentions they're stressed about work, and you immediately jump into your work stress. Every conversation somehow loops back to your experience, your opinion, your story. And you probably don't even notice, because in your head you're relating. You're finding common ground. You're showing them you understand by sharing something similar. But that's not how it lands. What the other person experiences is that their thing wasn't interesting enough to stay on. That you weren't really listening, you were just waiting for your turn. That their experience is just a jumping off point for yours. And after a while, people stop sharing with you because it doesn't feel good. It feels like performing for an audience that's already thinking about their own monologue. Real listening is rare, and when someone actually does it, when they ask follow-up questions and stay curious about experience without hijacking it, that feels amazing. That person becomes someone you want to be around. But when every conversation is a competition for airtime, when you can't let someone else's story breathe, people start to avoid you without consciously deciding to. They just find themselves less motivated to engage. Second, you're too intense about everything. Every conversation is deep. Every interaction has weight. You want to talk about meaning and purpose and what really matters, and sure, sometimes great. But not at 10 in the morning on a Tuesday when someone just asked how your weekend was. Not every exchange needs to be profound. Sometimes people just want to exist next to each other without having to dive into the depths of human experience. This intensity comes from a good place usually. You want real connection. You're tired of small talk. You think if you can just get people up to Banuk, then you'll finally have the relationships you want. But intensity without calibration is exhausting. It puts pressure on every interaction to be significant. And people can feel that pressure. It makes them guarded because they don't know if they're ready for whatever emotional depth you're about to require from them. There's a time for deep conversation, but there's also a time for just being light, being easy, letting things stay on the surface, because not everything needs to go deep to matter. People who only operate at one intensity level are hard to be around, because you never know what you're walking into. Are we just getting coffee, or are we about to process our childhood? And if it's always the latter, that's draining. Third thing, and this one's rough, you complain constantly. About work, about people, about your life, about the world. And again, you probably don't think you're doing it that much. But people who complain a lot never think they complain a lot. They think they're just being honest or venting or sharing what's really going on. But from the outside, it's a pattern. Every conversation in some version of what's wrong, what's hard, what's unfair, what's annoying. And here's what that does. It makes you exhausting to be around. Because complaining is contagious. When you dump negativity into a conversation, the other person has to do something with that energy. They have to absorb it, validate it, try to fix it, or find a way to shift the mood. And all of that takes effort. So being around you starts to feel like work. Like they're responsible for managing your emotional state, or at least being the audience for your frustration. People gravitate toward people who make them feel lighter, not heavier. That doesn't mean you have to be fake positive all the time. But it does mean that if your default mode is complaint, you're actively repelling connection. Because nobody wants to sign up for a relationship where they're constantly in the role of emotional support while getting nothing back. The fourth truth is about neediness, but the obvious kind. You're not clingy exactly. You don't demonstrate attention, but there's this underlying energy of needing people to like you, needing validation, needing reassurance. People can feel that even when you're not saying it directly. It shows up in how you laugh a little too hard at jokes that aren't that funny. How you agree with people even when you don't really agree. How you check their face constantly to see if they're enjoying the conversation. How you text too much, too soon, trying to lock in plans or keep the connection going. Neediness has this paradoxical effect where the more you need someone to like you, the less they do. Not because they're cruel, because need creates pressure. When someone senses that their approval matters too much to you, it makes the interaction feel unbalanced. Like you're trying to get something from them that they didn't sign up to give. And that imbalance makes people withdraw because they don't want to be responsible for your sense of okayness. People are drawn to people who seem fine on their own, who would enjoy your company but don't need it to feel complete. That independence is attractive because it means the relationship is a choice, not a dependency. But when you're operating from need, every interaction has this subtle desperation to it that pushes people away even as you're trying to pull them closer. And the last one, probably the hardest one, you don't pick up on social cues. Someone's eyes glaze over while you're talking, but you keep going. Someone gives a short answer, and you don't read it as disinterest, you just ask another question. Someone shifts their body away or checks their phone, and you don't register that as a signal to wrap up. You miss the subtle ways people communicate that they're done, that they need space, that they're not as into this conversation as you are. This isn't being rude or ignoring people. Most people who do this genuinely don't see the signals. They're so focused on what they're saying or so anxious about the interaction that they miss the feedback the other person is giving through their body language and responses. And the result is that conversations go on too long. Interactions that should be brief become extended, and the other person walks away feeling drained because they tried exit gracefully and you didn't let them. Social awareness is a skill, and some people are naturally better at it than others, but everyone can improve by actually paying attention to the other person instead of just monitoring their own performance. Their face. Notice their energy. Feel whether the conversation has momentum or if you're the only one pushing it forward. And when you sense disinterest, let it go. End the conversation. Give them space. Because pushing through resistance just makes people avoid you more next time. All of these things have something in common. They're about not being attuned to the other person's experience. Yours focused on what you need from the interaction to be heard, to connect, to be liked, to share that you're not picking up on what they need, which might be space or lightness, or to talk about their own thing, or just to have an easy interaction that doesn't require so much from them. And this is why people avoid you. Not because you're a bad person, not because there's something fundamentally wrong with you, but because being around you takes more energy than it gives back. The cost-benefit ratio is off, and people naturally move toward interactions, good and away from ones that feel like work. even when they like you as a person. The hard part is that nobody's going to tell you this. They're not going to sit you down and explain that you redirect conversations, or that your intensity or your complaining brings them down. That conversation is too awkward, too risky. So instead, they just slowly create distance. They're busy when you reach out. They're polite but don't extend invitations. They keep you at arm's length without ever explaining. And you're left feeling confused and hurt because you're trying, you're putting yourself out there, you're being friendly, and it's still not working. But trying isn't the same as connecting. Connection requires calibration. It requires being aware of how you land on other people, not just what you intend. The good news is that all of this is fixable. Not overnight and not without honest self-reflection, but fixable. You can learn to listen without redirecting. You can learn to modulate your intensity. You can learn to focus on what's working instead of what's wrong. You can learn to be okay on your own so you're not radiating need. You can learn to read social cues and respect them. But first, you have to be willing to consider that maybe the pattern isn't about everyone else being closed off or shallow. Maybe it's about something you're doing that you can't see. And that's uncomfortable. It's way easier to blame other people, but blaming other people keeps you stuck in the same pattern forever. The people who have genuine, deep, easy connections aren't doing anything magic. They're just aware of how they affect others, and they adjust accordingly. They make people feel seen and heard and valued. They bring energy instead of draining it. They respect boundaries and read signals. They show up as someone to be around, not because they're performing perfectly, but because they're paying attention to what the relationship actually needs instead of just what they need from it. Maybe being avoided isn't about you being fundamentally flawed. Maybe it's just about you being unaware of the gap between your intentions and your impact. And once you see that gap, you can start closing it.